Unsolved murders hold a unique grip on the public imagination. They are stories without endings, questions without answers, and reminders that justice is not always served. Cold cases, especially those that remain a mystery for decades, become more than just investigations. They turn into ghost stories, legends, and folklore. One such case is the 1977 murder of Jenny Low Chang, a crime that has baffled investigators for nearly half a century. Found under circumstances that are perplexing as they were tragic, her death remains haunting and unexplained. Despite efforts by law enforcement, private investigators, and armchair detectives, no definitive answers have emerged. Who killed Jenny Low Chang, and why was she murdered? As time moves forward, her story remains frozen in the past, until today, when we investigate the case ourselves. On Fireside Unsolved, Episode 154, The Unsolved Murder of Jenny Low Chang. Jenny Low Chang was born on February 5, 1958 in Los Angeles, California. She was the daughter of Chinese immigrants who had come to the United States in the early 1920s in search of new opportunities and a better future. Like many immigrant families, Jenny's parents worked hard to establish themselves, instilling in their children the values of perseverance, education, and ambition. Growing up in a household that placed a strong emphasis on academic success and personal growth, Jenny embraced these ideals from an early age. Described as intelligent, hardworking, and deeply focused on her studies, Jenny excelled in school, consistently earning top marks. She was known for her quiet determination and strong work ethic, setting her sights on a future where she could make a difference in people's lives. Those who knew her recall a young woman with big dreams, someone who was both disciplined and driven to succeed. In 1975, Jenny Low Chang achieved a significant milestone when she was accepted into San Francisco State University. For her, higher education was not just a personal goal, but also a way to honor the sacrifices her immigrant parents had made to provide her with opportunities they never had. By 1977, Jenny was a dedicated pre-dental student and had chosen to pursue the field because it combined her passion for healthcare, science, and helping others. Her hard work and commitment set her apart, and she was well on her way to achieving her dream of becoming a dentist. She consistently earned top grades, securing a place on the university's dean's list every semester. Friends and classmates described her as focused and driven, yet kind and approachable. On the evening of September 11, 1977, a seemingly ordinary Sunday, 19-year-old Jenny Low Chang left her dormitory around 6 p.m., books in hand, and told her roommate she was heading to the library to study. Jenny often spent long hours preparing for her coursework, so her decision to use the library's quiet study rooms was nothing out of the ordinary. Sunday hours meant that only the basement level of the campus library remained open, offering study rooms available until 11 p.m. that evening. By Monday morning, unease settled over Jenny's dorm room when her roommate, expecting to see her back from the library the night before, was alarmed to find that Jenny's bed looked untouched. At first, she may have hoped for a reasonable explanation, but as the hours passed with no sign of her, worry turned to fear. Realizing something was wrong, her roommate reported Jenny missing, prompting campus authorities to launch an investigation. At first, there was hope that she would turn up safe, that some misunderstanding had led to her absence. But as more time passed, and no one had seen or heard from Jenny, it became clear that something far more serious had happened. At the same time, on the other side of campus, the routine of Monday morning was shattered by a gruesome discovery. A psychology professor entering a faculty reading room on the 4th floor of the library stumbled upon a horrific scene: Jenny Low Chang's lifeless body. Jenny had been viciously attacked, suffering 30 stab wounds to her chest and heart. As if the ferocity of the stabbing wasn't enough, she had also been bludgeoned with a heavy object, later believed to be an ashtray. The viciousness of the attack suggested the killer was filled with an overwhelming rage, inflicting cruelty that went far beyond what was necessary to end her life. Some reports suggest that Jenny may have also been strangled and that there were indications of an assault, though these claims have never been officially confirmed. What was undeniable, however, was the sheer brutality of the attack. The excessive violence, 30 stab wounds, and blunt force trauma pointed to a deeply personal or frenzied motive. Yet Jenny had no known enemies and led a quiet, studious life. Next to Jenny's body laid her books and her clothing, neatly stacked as if someone had put them there deliberately. The first mystery investigators needed to solve was how Jenny ended up in the faculty reading room, a restricted area requiring a key for entry, and how her killer gained access. As a student, Jenny was unlikely to have possessed a key of her own, raising the question of whether she was led there by someone she trusted or if she unknowingly walked into danger. Authorities soon learned that approximately 400 people across the university had keys to the room where she had been murdered. This initially seemed like a promising lead, but it also posed a major challenge. Narrowing down the list of potential suspects from such a large pool was no simple task. Furthermore, investigators couldn't rule out the possibility that the door had simply been left ajar or deliberately propped open, allowing anyone to enter without restriction. Despite thorough questioning of students, faculty, and staff, no one recalled seeing or hearing anything unusual that night. There were no reported disturbances, no cries for help, no suspicious figures lurking in the library. Jenny had no known enemies, no history of conflicts, and nothing in her personal life suggested she had been in danger. With no witnesses, no clear motive, and no physical evidence linking anyone to the crime, the investigation quickly stalled. Leads dried up, and speculation replaced solid answers. Before long, Jenny Low Chang's murder faded into the growing list of cold cases, leaving behind a chilling, unresolved mystery that would haunt the university for decades to come. Over the years, Jenny Low Chang's murder has drawn comparisons to the murders of some of California's most infamous serial killers of the 1960s and 70s. Among the names frequently mentioned are the Zodiac Killer and Rodney Alcala, both of whom were active during that time and known for their calculated, sadistic crimes. Given the excessive violence of Jenny's attack, 30 stab wounds and signs of severe beating, many have speculated that her murder could have been the work of a serial predator. However, the Zodiac Killer, who terrorized Northern California in the late 1960s, was known crimes primarily involved shootings, not the brutal stabbing and bludgeoning that Jenny endured. Similarly, Rodney Alcala, often referred to as the dating game killer, was active during the 1970s and was known for luring young women to their deaths. His crimes did involve brutal violence, often strangulation and beating, but there is no definitive link between him and Jenny's case. More often than not, the simplest explanation is the most likely. Given that access to the faculty reading room required a key, many believe that Jenny's killer was someone connected to the university, perhaps a staff member, faculty member, or even a student worker with the ability to enter unnoticed. The possibility that an outsider stumbled upon an unlocked door cannot be ruled out, but the idea that Jenny's murderer may have been someone who walked those halls daily is a chilling thought. If that was the case, her killer may have continued working or studying at the university, blending into campus life while harboring a terrible secret. Strangely, no one at the library that night recalled seeing her. There were no reports of students or staff interacting with her, no confirmed sightings, and no physical evidence placing her inside the building at all. With so many unknowns, investigators struggled to piece together Jenny's final moments. Theories swirled, but hard evidence was scarce. And as time passed, the truth of what really happened that night seemed to slip further and further away. One of the few potential suspects in Jenny Low Chang's case was a security guard working at San Francisco State University on the night she was murdered. Reports indicate that he left his shift early without notice, a suspicious and highly unusual action for someone tasked with maintaining campus safety. His abrupt departure raised immediate concerns, and as a result of his unexplained absence, he was dismissed from his position. Given that the faculty reading room required a key for access, investigators considered the possibility that he may have been involved. As a security guard, he likely had access to restricted areas, making it plausible that he could have entered the locked room where Jenny was found. However, despite these concerning circumstances, there was no physical evidence tying him to the crime. Without forensic proof or witness testimony linking him directly to the murder, authorities were unable to build a case against him. As the years stretched into decades, Jenny's murder has remained an unsolved tragedy that has left her loved ones without answers and her killer unpunished. If you or anyone you know has information regarding the murder of Jenny Low Chang, please contact the San Francisco State University Police Department. Even the smallest detail could be the key to unlocking the mystery and bringing long overdue justice to a case that has remained unsolved for far too long.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Fireside Unsolved. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to help the channel grow. Until next time, take it easy and be easy, you filthy bastards.